Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Christmas to you all. Welcome to a bright and sunny Christmas morning by the sea here at Brighton. And for this Christmas, I am finally able to, so I'm going to do for the first time something that I've always wanted to do for Christmas in the past. And that is going out for a nice long Christmas drive to destination anywhere or destination nowhere. So before we set off, I'm just enjoying the Christmas morning here at Brighton Beach because, you know, it's nice and open. Come on, it's nice and open. It's great for your mental health. So once I've finished admiring this view for a bit, we'll then go and head on out and go for a drive. So yes, before some of you start asking, yes, I am spending Christmas alone this year, but that's not going to be a problem for me because I've actually got a plan for getting through this festive day. Now yes, I do agree, Christmas is normally best spent with friends and family and spending quality time with them, with the people who are supposedly closest to you. However, in what some might call a rather slightly sad twist, it's not always feasible or possible to do so. The reasons could be different for everyone, but in my case, it's probably because my family are halfway across the world. But that's less of a problem now than it was in the past, because now with all the technology we have at our fingertips, I only need to press a few buttons, I only need to tap the screen a few times to be able to video call them. So it's not like I'm going to get homesick, because all I have to do is just video call and talk to them. In fact, I've already been on the phone to my parents before I came out, so that's already off the list. Now sure, to most people, the thought of spending Christmas solo is probably a rather sad thought, but here's the way I'm looking at it. Maybe it's a good thing, because spending it and doing things that I enjoy, I think, is certainly no sad thing indeed. Now speaking of spending Christmas alone, little maybe fun, maybe not so fun fact, this isn't actually the first Christmas I've spent on my own. And this day last year, I had actually totally underestimated how much of a difference a plan, even a simple one, would have actually made to getting through this normally very joyful and cheerful day. No, I'm not saying I am a sad git, do not get me wrong about that, because, hey, it's all part of the living process. It's called life, so what do you expect? There are ups and there are downs. Now, with all of that being said, I haven't yet shown you this car, so let's go and find somewhere, pull over, and have a look at the car. So here it is, guys. This is what I have bought. So it's a 1992 Volkswagen Polo. Now officially this car was marketed as the Polo hatchback, but unofficially everybody effectively knows it as a Polo Breadvan. And that's probably really thanks to this kind of weird half small car, half van, wagon, whatever kind of thing. This is actually incredibly practical. Sometimes looking at this you can almost start to think that you might have the space of a small van, and as I'd found out at some point while I've had the car, it is incredibly practical. You can squeeze a surprising amount of stuff in there, and all in all, a very, very practical car indeed. Now, with this car being 27 years old as it sits, in a way, I guess I could probably make myself feel a bit better by calling it a classic. And a little fun fact, according to the London to Brighton Classic Car Runs entry criteria, this car would qualify as a classic. So there you go, a little stat to make my inner self feel a little bit better about what I've bought. And speaking of that, I also know that some of you, probably you as well, future Stuart, so if you're watching this, hi. Welcome to the past dumb young version of yourself who gets a bit overly excited about shitty old VWs. But anyway, I'm sure some of you at this point are probably also thinking this car is a complete and utter shitbox. And I think you would be correct, because end of the day, it's not the most desirable car in the world. Yes, I can make myself feel better by calling it a inverted commas classic, but at the end of the day, it's a cheap car, was a common car, so common that you probably would never notice one on the streets anyway. In some places you probably still won't, and undoubtedly there are certainly places where this car will not stand out at all. That said though, out of 27-year-old shitty old VWs, this car, I actually must admit, packed a few surprises. First of all, if we come and look, that is actually just dirt. I kid you not, that is just dirt. That is not rust yet. although there seems to be signs of rust developing there. I mean, you have to remember, most of these Volkswagen Polos have done probably anything within 6 figures easily. However, this is the biggest surprise of this car, because if we come along into here, that is right, ladies and gentlemen, 55,000 miles in 27 years. That is correct. You have not read that wrong. I have not fiddled with the odometer, nor has the last owner fiddled with it. It was a genuine one-owner car, full service history, and only 50-ish thousand miles on the clock. Now the thing is, when I saw this car online and when I started seriously thinking about buying this car, I've even thought about potentially doing some, well, let's just say rather radical modifications to the car. I wanted to rat it. However, as soon as I saw this car in person, that plan had been completely buggered up, because the thing is, this car looks too good to touch. Now I know, it's a Polo. Why am I getting so overly protective or overly excited? But the thing is, for a 27-year-old car to have 50-something thousand miles on the clock, considering most of its kind have done well into 6 figures in terms of mileage, I think I might have found myself a classic. Well, it's not a very good one, but still, I think we might barely even scrape the surface of being a classic. Now, time is currently moving on very quickly. There's still quite a bit of driving I want to do, so let us hop on back out on the road, and while we're there, we'll be talking about things like, you know, how it's like to drive, what it's like to own, so on and so on. Let us buckle up. Try not to break the seatbelt. Back into life we go. And while we are back out driving towards our next part of the day, let's just talk about what this car is like to have in general. So the thing is, with cheap old cars like these, they're usually very cheap to run, they're cheap to buy, they were cheap to make in the first place. You know, they were cheap cars 27 years ago, and they're cheaper cars now. So cheap, in fact, that they're being bought as first cars. And most importantly, for a young driver like me, this car is cheap to insure. Now, if you don't already know, car insurance in the UK is pretty much legalised robbery. At least it seems that way to me. Because for a young person with no experience, you're looking at thousands of pounds in insurance premium because of just the way the insurance industry works altogether. Some of the other things to consider when buying a car like this would also be running costs. With this car being so old, half the modern day computer goodies that you find in modern cars simply didn't exist back in the day. So a lot of the stuff in the car is mechanical based, which means they are very user serviceable, and that's what I like about these really old cars. So that way I don't have to pay something like thousands of pounds just to go for my annual service because half the sensors need replacing. And before I forget, the parts for this car are cheap. Now, what do I mean by cheap? Let's take, for example, the day after I bought this car. The day after I bought this car, I took it straight away to a good friend of mine. We started working on some of the advisory issues that it had from its previous MOT. Now, over the course of that weekend, for a grand total of £60, we'd serviced the car and fixed a few issues that were starting to develop. Things I like about national speed limit roads. But as I was saying, over that weekend, for a grand total of £60, we had fixed a bunch of issues that, according to the car's service history, would have cost the previous owner £200. I don't know how good you are at maths, but however you put it, £140 is one hell of a saving. I mean, for that £140, I could go quite far in this car. And actually that brings me on nicely to the other running cost, which I'm sure would be certainly deemed as the most important to any driver out there: cost of fuel. Now, what I didn't tell you before we left was this car has a 1 litre engine. Admittedly, it's a bit shameful. Now, admittedly, to think that this engine is only supposed to make 45 horsepower is indeed a little bit shameful. But here's where it makes up for it. This car, you see, only weighs officially 730 kilos. That is right, 730 kilograms. That's not even a ton. That's not even 3/4 of a ton. And even with me in it, we're only looking at something like 800 kilos. So that's round about, that's a little bit under 8 times my weight. Now, at the current price of fuel, this car would cost something in the region of 50 to 60 pounds to fill up from empty, which is quite cheap by my standards at least, because some of the other cars I've driven, i.e. my parents' car, cost something closer to like 90 or 100 pounds to fill up. And compared to some of my mates' cars, especially that Death Racer Lexus thingy, whatever thingy car with guns on it, that thing cost about 99 pounds to fill up. So to have a car that costs 60 pounds to fill up is actually pretty decent, I think. And now, cost of filling up is one thing. The other thing that really matters is how often do we need to fill this car up? Now, that rather depends, even in any car, that rather depends on your driving style. Now, my driving style is normally quite relaxed, quite sensible, not boosting it around every corner. Max gear, min revs, and just calm and gentle is my usual policy of driving. This, by the way, as I found out from the bus route, is a beautiful road to drive on as long as it's not congested. So we are currently coming up to Burlington Gap, and as I said, on Brighton and Hove buses, this would translate to Route 13X. This was one of the routes that I used to go on pretty often last year when I didn't even have a licence, let alone this car. Oh yes, the speed, the power is just non-existent. And all this time, I haven't even hit the speed limit. The speed limit down here is 60 mile an hour, yet I haven't been hitting that. I just even went up to 50 on a straight stretch of road. And it took that long, so there you go, guys. Not the fastest car in the world, but hey, it's definitely quite a fun one around the corner, especially with how much it leans. The thing is, what I really, really love about this car is that you don't even have to break the speed limit to feel fast. This is all within the speed limits. I know it looks like I'm kind of pushing it, but trust me, I am definitely not speeding, and that is for sure. The limit is 60 mile an hour, I'm at 52. But it don't feel like that. It feels like I'm actually doing 70. Okay, that's a bit exaggerated, but you get the idea. Ooh, I like that. That is picture worthy. Woo! Ford Mustang GT, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get some pictures. One day, guys. One day. Back to this car and back to the lack of goodies I was talking about. Now, with this car being the age that it is, and back in the day, you know, Volkswagen Polos, these are cheap cars. Always have been cheap, always will be cheap cars. Yeah, it's not like it's going to be loaded to the brim with technology like a Mercedes S-Class, because it's a Volkswagen Polo. It's a people's car. It's not some bazillionaire's luxury automobile that we will never be able to afford kind of thing. So naturally, this car has hardly anything. And when I say hardly anything, I really mean hardly anything. Power steering, that's my arms. Traction control, that's my right foot. ABS, I think I've got that. I don't want to find out. ESP, nope, that's my hands. These are just some of the things that just motivate me to drive that little bit safer, because, well, knowing the potential repercussions that they might bring for not otherwise adhering to some decent driving standards.
I'd like to love you every day. I'd like to love you, love you.
This is Hastings, what is Christmas without our good old friend, the Christmas dinner? So this is my oven-ready Christmas dinner. Yeah, as you can see, it is oven-ready, ready to go. First challenge I had to overcome was, how the hell am I going to have a Christmas dinner without an oven? Turns out there are ways around it. So for example, roast beef is very readily available in slices to be put into sandwiches. So if you go around the supermarket, around the deli aisle, you'll always find roast beef somewhere there. But they weren't very good value for money. So instead, here's an alternative I've gone with, and that is making steak. Instead, I had gone and bought some frying steak and made steak sandwiches to substitute for roast beef. Hey, beef is beef after all anyway. What's a Christmas dinner without pigs in blankets? That was pretty simple anyway. Sausages I can do in a frying pan. Bacon I could do in a frying pan. Christmas turkey. This is a big one that usually requires an oven. But, once again, thank you supermarket aisles. They have readily made turkey available. That was a no-brainer, wasn't it? Bit of turkey and stuffing, why the hell not? So there you go. Christmas is saved. Yes, it's all readily made, but the thing is, back in Hong Kong, over the years, while me and my family had Christmas lunches, dinners, whatever, we didn't actually make them ourselves. So buying Christmas meals wasn't exactly a strange thing for me anyway. Now, you might be asking, well, what about the roast potatoes, smash and vegetables? Yes, very good point. Roast potatoes, ready available in the frozen aisle. Now, I don't have an oven, but I do have a microwave oven. I know this is going to sound very brute forced, or this is going to sound like I have ridiculous standards, but heck, if the microwave can heat it up, the microwave will do. All it needs is just to be heated up. And then as for the vegetables, well, just get a pack of mixed veg. Frozen mixed veg, come on, these are the most basic and common things you could possibly get in the frozen aisle. Christmas is saved. I have a Christmas dinner. I have an oven-ready Christmas dinner. It is oven-ready, ready to go in there. Let's go and enjoy some Christmas stuff. That was the first time I've ever seen a deer. Right. Hey Siri. End navigation.
Okay, I've stopped navigating.
And now, as we approach the outskirts of Brighton, I have had a fantastic Christmas. In fact, this might have even been my best Christmas yet. But anyway, hopefully you've also had a very happy and Merry Christmas. I wish you all the best and a very happy New Year. But otherwise, hopefully you found this video somewhat entertaining. And if you did, bang your thumbs up below. And for more content of probably me being around cars, give that cheeky little subscribe button a click. It's big, it's red, you can't miss it, and it's completely free. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again, alive and well, in the next video. Stay tuned.